From Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Saamiyah Syed. Our top story tonight: 7 major technology companies have pledged to address the risks of artificial intelligence and use it to benefit humanity. Meeting with President Joe Biden, they have committed to ensure responsible innovation. The administration is working with Congress to pass bipartisan legislation to regulate the rapidly evolving technology. The White House says AI company leaders have agreed on core principles to ensure safety and trust, and that the meeting was a critical step towards developing responsible AI. The companies have committed to testing their AI products internally and externally before launch. They will share information within the industry and civil society groups. Companies will also invest in cybersecurity and insider threat protection. They will also enable third-party reporting of their AI systems after launch and research the potential social harms of AI. The federal government has asked Texas Governor Greg Abbott to remove a floating barrier installed in the Rio Grande River along the border with Mexico. The barrier was put up to prevent migrants from entering the United States. The Justice Department has threatened the governor with a lawsuit if he does not order it removed. Abbott says the barrier is necessary to protect the border from illegal immigration. However, the Justice Department says it was not approved by the Army Corps of Engineers. It has given Abbott until Monday to remove the barrier or face legal action. Abbott has also deployed police and National Guard members to the border. Texas police were ordered to push migrant children back into the river. Among them were nursing infants and a 4-year-old girl suffering from heat exhaustion. Police officers were also instructed not to give water to asylum seekers amid a devastating heat wave. A newly released document shows civilians were also killed in a 2019 U.S. raid that killed ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. The document shows American forces opened fire from a helicopter onto a van carrying 3 civilians, killing 2 and injuring the other. The Pentagon has not provided proof the victims were enemy combatants. The sole survivor of the attack has not been interviewed. Experts have questioned the Pentagon's assessment of the attack. They say it appears to be an attempt to cover up civilian casualties from military operations. U.S. Special Forces stormed al-Baghdadi's hideout near Barisha in Syria's Idlib province in October 2019. The survivor of the raid, laborer Barakat Ahmed, told NPR the 2 men killed were his friends. He said they were on their way home after working at a local olive press. President Joe Biden will establish a national monument honoring Emmett Till, a Black teenager lynched in Mississippi in 1955. The memorial will commemorate the life and tragic death of the 14-year-old. It will also mark the acquittal of Till's white killers and the commitment of his mother, Mamie Till Mobley, to pursue justice. Biden's move is seen as a significant step towards recognizing the impact of Till's murder on the civil rights movement. It will be the 4th such memorial erected since Biden took office 2 years ago. Biden previously hosted a screening of the film Till to mark Black History Month. He also signed the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act in March 2022. The Justice Department completed its investigation into Till's murder in December 2021. The memorial will be managed by the National Park Service and serve as a place of education and reflection. The American Islamic College campus in Chicago is being converted into a temporary shelter for asylum seekers. It is expected to house about 500 to 600 asylum seekers when it opens on Friday. Due to allegations of sexual misconduct by police officers towards migrants, the city wants to move them out of police stations. The shelter will be operated by the Department of Family and Support Services with the help from the Chicago Department of Public Health and Chicago Police Department. It will provide caseworker support, on-site security, medical assistance, and 3-day meals. A spokesman for Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson's office says the campus was chosen because of its large capacity and relatively good condition. The campus was slated to be converted into a high-rise apartments and senior housing. Those plans have been put on hold while the campus is being used as a temporary housing for asylum seekers. A Muslim woman was reportedly forced to remove her hijab during her arrest in Fayette County in Kentucky. The Council on American Islamic Relations has called for an investigation into the woman's alleged mistreatment at the Fayette County Detention Center. The woman had initially been stopped by Kentucky police for driving without headlights. She was subsequently taken into custody for an unpaid fine from 2 years before. According to CARE, she was handcuffed and held for several hours, during which officers asked about her religion several times. She was also forced to remove her hijab for a mugshot in a public hall, although she had requested a private area. The woman's attorney says all charges against her were dropped before arraignment and she was released on a $100 bail. The detention center's director has promised a transparent review of the charges. He assured he would look into possible changes into policies and practices and protect the rights and dignities of detainees. A story on how Saudi Arabian nationals can sponsor people to visit and perform Umrah comes with details after the break. So stay tuned and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Saudi Arabian nationals will be able to sponsor friends living abroad to visit the country and perform Umrah. Saudi Arabia's Hajj and Umrah ministry says Muslims who receive invitations from Saudi citizens will be able to apply for a personal visit visa. Applications can be made directly or online, and visas can be obtained for single or multiple entries. A single entry visa is valid for 90 days. A multiple entry visa will be valid for 1 year. This category of visa will allow visitors to perform Umrah rituals in Mecca and visit the Prophet's mosque in Medina. In 2016, Saudi Arabia opened historical and cultural sites to visitors to develop tourism as part of its long-term strategic plan for the country called Vision 2030. The kingdom aims to increase the number of annual visitors to 100 million by 2030 and create 1 million jobs in the hospitality sector. The Israeli parliament has approved a bill that would limit the Supreme Court's power to review government actions. The bill was passed by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's 64-member coalition, while the opposition walked out of the House. The bill would prevent the Supreme Court from blocking government actions that the body deems inappropriate. The Israeli government pushed the bill through despite U.S. President Joe Biden's warning against hasty passage. Biden warned that rushing to pass the amendments without broad consensus could hurt U.S.-Israel relations. Anti-corruption organization Movement for Government Quality has appealed the law to the Supreme Court. The advocacy group argues the law is illegal and undermines the separation of powers. The bill has been met with widespread protests, and hundreds of thousands of demonstrators have taken to the streets. Opponents fear the law could be used by the government to shape a more religious and less pluralistic society. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation has suspended Sweden's special envoy status. The 57-member grouping of Muslim countries says the move followed repeated incidents of Quran burning in the European country. At a July 2nd meeting of OIC members, Authorized Secretary General Hussein Brahim Taha took action against countries to allow desecration of the Holy Book. Taha called on member states to take sovereign decisions as well as to express their stand. He said burning copies of the Quran and other acts against Islamic figures and symbols are not ordinary incidents of Islamophobia. Taha called on the international community to urgently implement international law which prohibits promotion of religious hatred. He also stressed the importance of abiding by the recently adopted resolution of the UN Human Rights Council. The resolution addresses combating religious hatred that incites discrimination, hostility, or violence. The OIC General Secretariat is preparing to convene an emergency meeting of the Council of Foreign Ministers to further discuss the situation. In related news, Denmark has condemned the burning of the Quran, calling it a shameful act. The Danish Foreign Ministry says the provocative act hurt many people and created division between different religions and cultures. It says many Danish citizens are Muslims and are a valued part of the population. The statement also says Denmark supports the right to protest, but stressed that it must remain peaceful. On Friday, members of an Islamophobic and far-right nationalist group burned a copy of the Quran outside the Iraqi embassy in the Danish capital, Copenhagen. Last month, an Iraqi refugee living in Sweden crushed the Quran just weeks after setting fire to pages of the holy book outside a Stockholm mosque. In January, Danish far-right extremist Rasmus Paludan burned a copy of the Quran outside the Turkish embassy in Stockholm. A Turkish court has issued an arrest warrant for Paludan. Two prominent mosques in the Indian capital, New Delhi, have been ordered to remove their structures within 15 days. India Today reports that the notices were issued by the Indian Railways. The authority claims the land of Masjid Bachu Shah and Masjid Taqiyya Babar Shah belongs to it. The notice claims the railway's land had been illegally taken. The railway department has warned that it will take necessary action if the structures are not removed within the stipulated time frame. Officials from the Delhi Waqf Board, which is responsible for maintaining Islamic property, disputed the railway's claim. It says the mosques were built a long time ago when there were no railroads. Mahfouz Muhammad, a Waqf Board official, says the houses of worship were more than 400 years old. The sites are among over 100 properties, including mosques, mausoleums, and cemeteries over which the Waqf Board is engaged in a legal battle with the central government. The matter is pending before the Supreme Court. The Taliban have rejected a claim by Iran's foreign minister that leaders of ISIS have crossed into Afghanistan. Taliban Foreign Ministry spokesman Abdul Qahar Balki called on Iran to provide intelligence to substantiate the claim. Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian claims ISIS leaders have entered Afghanistan from Iraq, Syria, and Libya in recent months. Since the Taliban's return to power in 2021, ISIS has carried out attacks on Taliban leaders and Afghan clerics. It has claimed responsibility for several attacks in the country, including on mosques. Over 100 people have been killed due to rains in 1 month in Pakistan. According to the National Disaster Management Authority, 13 people were killed by monsoon rains on Sunday. Authorities say 9 people were killed by landslides and collapsed roofs. Most of the deaths were reported in the northwestern province of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, where torrential rains and flash floods washed away houses, roads, and bridges. Massive rains also battered parts of northeastern Punjab, southwestern Balochistan, and Pakistan-administered Kashmir. The rains paralyzed road traffic, caused power outages, and rivers and streams to burst their banks. A UN expert has expressed concern about the arbitrary detention of tens of thousands of children in northeastern Syria. The children belong to parents detained for their allegiance to ISIS. Benyula Niaulain says they are being detained because their parents pose a security threat. She says it is against international law to detain children under any circumstances. Niaulain has also expressed concern that hundreds of children are separated from their mothers in camps. She visited the Kurdish-run Al-Hol camp, which houses about 55,000 people, including over 30,000 children. It also houses nationals of Western countries who remain there despite pleas from the UN to take them back. Niaulain describes conditions in an Al-Hol as terrible and extreme. She says the temperature was over 100 degrees. The UN expert has called on authorities in northeastern Syria to release the children and reunite them with their families. She has also called on foreign countries to repatriate their citizens held in these camps. That's all from our Toronto studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe for our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum and good night.